What movie fucked you up mentally? I watched Blair Witch in my early teens with no concept of what documentary or found footage movie was. In my mind it was all real, the last scene was golden. I was also in my early teens when that came out, and I had randomly caught on TV months earlier the fake documentary that they made, Curse of the Blair Witch. It was a brilliant marketing ploy in retrospect. Way before the movie, they released an hour-long TV show on the Sci-Fi Channel documenting the legend of the Blair Witch like it was a real thing. It seemed exactly like any of these old shows where people talk about Bigfoot or the Jersey Devil or whatever. I completely believed it was a real thing. At the very end of the TV show, they mentioned that 3 college kids had gone out into the woods to make a documentary about the Blair Witch, but that they went missing. They then said that months after they went missing, their footage had been found in some old ruins. With the permission of the family, the film was being cut together and released in theaters to kind of be the documentary the students were trying to make. So, I went to the Blair Witch Project thinking that I was watching a documentary from film by people who went missing. At like 13 to 14, it was terrifying. I absolutely believed it was real. It was only when I saw the actors being interviewed on TV a couple months later that I found out it was fake. You gotta respect that long con. Good Will Hunting. The part where Robin Williams explains to Matt Damon that although he knows almost everything, he will never know what it's like to look in the eyes of your best friend as he's dying in war or what it's like to lose a wife to cancer. It's not your fault. That shit got me. Bawled my eyes out the first time, and second, also third. Return to Oz, the Disney sequel to The Wizard of Oz. This movie is targeted at children. This movie is ducked up. It starts with Dorothy getting electroshocks in a Bedlam asylum because no one believed in her stories about Oz. Then she returned to Oz, and then she encountered truly horrific monsters like the Wheelers, fuck the Wheelers, and the big bad is switching heads like you switch dresses and all the heads are alive and how my god how is this movie targeted at children? Add that to the fact that you aren't really 100% sure if it actually happened or if it's all in Dorothy's head. Kids' movies in the 80s didn't duck around. Edit, thanks for the gold. Well, if you read the books, it's all really happening. Eventually the family is about to lose the farm, so Dorothy manages to successfully move her aunt and uncle to Oz and live there permanently. Fire in the Sky. I saw this when I was 8 or 9. I walked into my aunt's room during the operating scene. Anything and everything that dealt with aliens freaked me out. When Unsolved Mysteries and the X-Files theme songs came on, I would lose my mind and become really scared. The ending of this movie still contains the best alien abduction sequence in all of movie history. M-ho. Saving Private Ryan. As a child my parents would only allow me to watch Disney movies, and so when everyone was out of the house one night since they were at my cousin's house was right next door, so they usually always left me alone for a bit. I turned on the TV and Saving Private Ryan came on, thought it was still a Disney movie and proceeded to watch it. Jesus duck, my tiny brain wasn't ready for that trauma. Edit. I read almost every one of the comments and want to thank all of you for sharing your experience and sharing your own stories. Very interesting to see other people's views on stuff like this. What's eating Gilbert Grape? I grew up in a very similar situation, like, spookily similar, just a lot less good looking. My mother was overweight and I just knew she was gonna die in our old house like that. Scared the shit out of me. Aw man, this is my favorite movie. I can imagine how sad that must have been for you, though. Have you watched it later in life? And I hope that your mother is doing well. My mother pulled out of it, thankfully. She lost a lot of weight and is now doing exactly what she wants as an RN. I have rewatched the movie since the last time, many years ago, and nearly cried. The only thing I did different was I went with the girl in the end. I've lived over 900 miles from my family since then. Frown. Requiem for a Dream. Still get bothered by some of the scenes in that. Requiem wasn't my best choice for a first date movie. Guess there wasn't a second date. Watership Down. My parents thought it's just a cartoon movie, surely fits for an 7-year-old. I still don't want to watch the movie again, and I'm turning 29 next Sunday. When I was a kid, our local video rental place was owned by a guy who thought anything that was animated should go in the kids section. That's how I ended up watching Heavy Metal Wizard's Watership Down. When the Wind Blows. When the Wind Blows is one of the most depressing movies I've seen, but it's beautifully animated. I remember when I was little we were at a big family get-together, and at some point the parents thought it would be a good idea to put the kids in front of the TV for a while to keep us quiet, as they saw in the TV guide that some animated movie was on. We kids indeed ended up very quiet and wide-eyed. The movie was When the Wind Blows. The grown-ups didn't notice until it was finished. We were horrified. I remember watching Hotel Rwanda as a freshman at my private high school. Embarrassed me because I realized the world wasn't even close to the way I thought it was. We were watching that in history class. One kid, one of the classic school shithead bully types, muttered under his breath, "Damn NRS deserve to die." The teacher overheard, and holy ducking shit, that was the angriest I have ever seen another person. Kid was only saved from permanent expulsion because we were his last chance school. We were his last chance school. I can see why. Sounds like a kid shithead. The fourth kind. For weeks after watching this, it seemed like I would always wake up at exactly 3:33 a.m. and I was deathly afraid to be outside at night. Couldn't look out my bedroom window at night for months. Read the classic Stephen King novel Salem's Lot. You'll sleep with the blinds and curtains closed the rest of your life. I slept with the covers tucked under my feet for years. That book scared me so bad. It scared my mom, who was a prison nurse. Flowers in the attic. I was terrified of my mother poisoning me growing up. Ducked up shit. Oh yeah. Literally all of her books are ducked right up. P. Sure VC Andrews Reale has a thing for incest and non-rape. My mom had a lot of her books and my child brain was imploding the entire time I read them. Seriously, where were our parents? I read those books when I was like 11. Why did they not stop me? My mom gave me flowers in the attic for Christmas one year. My mom gave it to me when I was 11, saying she read the book when she was 11 and wanted to pass it on. I will not give it to my child Lamau. Life is beautiful. Principessa. Buongiorno Principessa. This was the first movie I saw with my future husband. He still greets me on the phone with Buongiorno Principessa. Edit, thanks for the silver, anonymous Redditor. The second movie we saw was South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut. When we're met with a difficult situation, that's right. We wonder what Brian Boitano would do. Not a movie, but Black Mirror's Be Right Back episode. I lost my wife in 2011, and I had to stop watching that episode. There's a lot of Black Mirror episodes that are messed up, but the one where they wipe the memory of that woman over and over again playing out the crime she committed. While guys in masks chase after her as spectators stand around with their cell phones and record everything. White Bear. That one ducked me up for a good while. The premise of White Bear is still the best emo. I can't tell you the amount of times I've screamed proportionate punishment at the news, but to see it in action, and then force me to sympathize with the criminal. Screwed with everything. I think it's the premise of it both being a continuous thing and a form of entertainment that others take pleasure in that might bother you. If they repressed her memory somehow, did it to her once or even a couple of times, then brought it all back so she could remember everything and thus understand and emphasize with how her victim felt, that would be a fitting punishment. It could even potentially be a great way to rehabilitate someone, especially if you take other measures such as education, training, counseling to help prevent someone from being in that position again. Done continuously though, that just shifts it into being a literal torture, something akin to the idea of what hell is supposed to be. Then you've got all these people leering at her and taking great delight in her suffering, as if it's a carnival attraction or a stage show. Those people might not have murdered someone, but is their clear enjoyment of her suffering really much better? Personally, I'd argue no, as she's neither consented to nor understands the things that happening to her. The crowd's claim of justice at that point is just an excuse to justify reveling in someone else's misery, without having blood, literally and or figuratively, on their hands.